Do you like Soul Ring and Arcane Signet? What about good removal spells? What about your ramp spells and counter spells? They're great, right? Yeah, we don't need them where we're going. This title isn't clickbait, by the way. So why does this deck have 67 creatures? Well, one simple reason. Companion is a mechanic that wreaked havoc on every format except Commander, but WotC doesn't care about them, so why should you? Companions can actually be used in Commander. They're given their own special slot outside of your 100 card deck. Of course, to use them, you still need to meet the requirements on the card, and I'm saying all of this to set up my companion of choice, Umori the Collector. Umori reads that he can be your companion if all non-land cards in your deck share a card type. When he enters the battlefield, you may choose a card type, and cards of that type cost one generic less to cast. And if you aren't putting 2 and 2 together, we're choosing creatures. Who is the actual commander? Well, we need a commander that's at least Golgari, a commander that is fun yet strong, and a commander that benefits from lots of creatures. Yeah, you guessed it. Jodah the Unifier. Jodah reads, legendary creatures you control get +X/+X, where X is the number of legendary creatures you control, and his second ability is my favorite ever put on a Magic card. When you cast a legendary spell from your hand, you basically cascade for a non-land legendary permanent with a lower mana cost. Let's get into the game plan. Phase 1. Cast the guy. We need Jodah on the battlefield ASAP, so we're gonna mulligan for a mana dork or two. Sometimes all we need is to get Jodah out one turn early. Turn 1 will have you either play a Triome/tap land, or play out one of the many 1-drops we have. Yoshimaru, Ever Faithful, is a good boy and gets a treat every time a legendary permanent enters the battlefield, so it's a great thing to get him down early. Skrelv, Defector Mite, can help us keep Jodah around if we cast him before Jodah. If you don't have either of those, then slam a Mana Dork. These are all the 1 CMC Mana Dorks we play. Prioritize the ones that tap for the most colors. We run fetches, ideally, so Deathrite Shaman is in this deck, and I don't own Ignoble Hierarch, but he's worth running. If you only have 2 mana on turn 2, then we have a couple things to choose from. Fibblethip the Lost is mainly a meme inclusion, but replaces himself if you have nothing better to cast. Hajar, Loyal Bodyguard, will protect you from a board wipe, or possibly protect Jodah from a removal spell. If you have lots of mana dorks in your hand, then Kinnan, Bonder Prodigy can get you to Jodah insanely fast. Radha, Heir to Keld, and Ruby, Daring Tracker, are both legendary mana dorks that might have the ability to attack the turn Jodah comes down. Rona, Herald of Invasion, is a fine play to get you to looting for important pieces or land drops, but she'll be important later. Satoru the Infiltrator doesn't do much without Jodah, but if you have nothing better to do, I guess he can attack the turn Jodah comes down? Thalia, Guardian of Thraben, is the biggest overperformer of this deck because she hits 0 spells in your deck with her tax. Literally no downside. It's likely that you'll have one of these 2 CMC mana dorks, and they're probably worth casting over most of the 2 mana legends. If you have 3 mana, then that's a different story. Birgi? Birgi? Burgi? God of Storytelling will net you an extra red mana per thing you cast and can set up for big storm turns. Derevi, Imperial Tactician, can tap a blocker or untap a mana dork when she enters. Izika, God of the Tree, is arguably the best card in the deck. If you can cast her on turn 2, you are in an insanely good spot. Fabro Elder will tap for 5 mana with Jodah out and can be untapped with Derevi. Kellen the Kid threatens an infinite with Jodah and needs to be dealt with ASAP. Kethis the Hidden Hand will act as ramp and reduce the cost of legendary spells. Kutzil Malamet Exemplar stops people from playing on our turns and draws us cards when Jodah comes down. Lauren of the Third Path is a great political tool and a removal spell if someone has something worth exploding. We also run Reclamation Sage. Najila, the Blade Blossom, is an absurd card and can win games all by herself. If she comes down early, she has to be dealt with or she will end the game in a couple turns. Whenever she attacks, she creates a warrior. Whenever any warrior attacks, a warrior is created for it. A lot of warriors, really fast. Reki, the History of Kamigawa, is worth casting as soon as we can to keep our hand full. Selvala, Heart of the Wilds. Enough said. Sisay, Weatherlight Captain, can tutor for any legend in the deck if Jodah is out. And if you have nothing else to do, then consider buying Umori into your hand for a future turn. With all these options, it's best to choose the ones that will protect Jodah or get him casted faster. With 4 mana available, we have tons of options. Beast Whisperer will keep our hand full during our storm turns, but isn't as ideal as Reki due to being 1 more mana. I need to address 2 4 CMC cards in this deck. Chief Jim Hopper from Stranger Things, and the greatest legendary creature of all time, Guile from Street Fighter. I have these cards in the deck because my pod thinks they're funny. Run whatever you want in these 2 slots, and make some memes with your group. Doric, Nature's Warden, is a great option since she potentially gets you a Triome and is a win con in the later turns. We can alternatively hold up the 2 counterspells of the deck, Airtie Resurrected and Mystic Snake. If Jodah is out, then Airtie will cascade, and that's a ton of fun. Inga and Azeka, much like Azeka herself, are incredibly strong and worth casting 10 out of 10 times. Mengar the Diplomat has lifelink, which is great because our mana base hurts when optimized, and he draws us some cards under some circumstances. Nylea, God of the Hunt, is a game ender, giving our team trample, and is an indestructible blocker. Ratadrabik of Urborg is the best piece of protection in the deck. If our opponent kills one of our legends, we get 2 of them, and that's insane. Similarly, Roaming Throne is a ridiculous card, and you should choose Human as that will affect all of these cards and lead to absurdity. Shalai, Voice of Plenty, is Jodah protection, so we love that. Shanid, Sleeper Scourge, is like Beast Whisperer but with more upside. Still not the best play in this slot, but Menace could be a big deal depending on your board. Trostani, Selesnya's Voice, is here to pad our life total because of our mana base, and because my name is Tristan and this is the closest I'm gonna get. We can also cast Umori here and give all our creatures a cost reduction if you bought them into your hand earlier. Winota, Joiner of Forces, is a stupid card that shouldn't be legal. We play a lot of strong non-human creatures that she can cheat out, so she can just end the game all on her own. If you have 5 mana, there is almost no situation in which you do not cast the guy. Phase 2. We ball. With Jodah on the field, I can teach you the #1 most important part of piloting this deck. Be kind to your deck, and your deck will be kind to you. Every game of Jodah is different from this point forward, but I'll run you through the different creatures we have at 5+ CMC, then I'll go over what board states you should be looking to achieve, and how to actually end the game. At 5 CMC, we start with Dejeru and Hazoret, which is a big overperformer. This deck is basically legendary tribal, so you will hit something to cast for free on almost every attack. Though this free spell isn't from our hand, so it won't cascade. Omnath, Locus of All, can be cast on our 4 mana turn, but can cascade into the majority of the deck, so we like to cast him when Jodah is on the field. We get an extra card per turn, can hoard our mana, and can sometimes get 3 free mana. Purphoros, Bronze-Blooded, is one of the 2 haste enablers and can let us cast our entire deck given the right circumstances. The final card in the 5 CMC slot is Momir Vig, Simic Visionary. Momir will let us tutor a creature to the top of our deck if the creature we cast is green, and if the creature we cast is blue, we get to check if the top card is a creature, and if it is, put it into our hand. This means that if Jodah is out and we cast a green creature, we can choose what creature we're going to cascade into by triggering Momir before Jodah. If the creature is green and blue, then we can order the stack as such: blue Momir trigger, Jodah trigger, green Momir trigger. A massive thing is that Momir doesn't specify from hand, so the creature you cascade into with Jodah can also trigger Momir and let you tutor another creature. So theoretically, you can cast a Simic creature and order the stack, then tutor a green creature to the top of your library and cascade into it with Jodah. Since you cast a green creature, you can tutor another green creature onto the top of your deck, and finally let the blue Momir trigger resolve and draw that creature. This card is a stack nightmare, but is game ending when paired with Jodah. At 6 CMC, we have 2 game enders and a pile of value. Kodama of the East Tree usually ends up letting us put lands onto the battlefield for free when a creature enters so that we can keep storming with Jodah, or he can put big creatures into play on the turn we're going for the win. Sun Quan, Lord of Wu, was originally a meme in this deck because of horsemanship, but no one has tech to counter it, so you just make your massive Jodah team unblockable for a game-ending swing. Serac and Goreclaw buff the team and give haste, which will potentially let you storm off, or you can use the trample and just kill people that way. At 7 CMC, we have Kogla the Titan Ape. Kogla can cascade into nearly the entire deck, removes a creature, and is repeatable enchantment or artifact removal, and with the Jodah buff, he is able to fight nearly anything. Crick, Son of Yawgmoth, Carrick? Post, Son of Rich, should be cast after Jodah because we could potentially get a 6 CMC creature, like Kodama, for only 4 mana. And he has lifelink, which is super nice. We play him fairly and don't get to take advantage of his ability though. Finally, in the 8 slot, we have Avacyn, Angel of Hope, because I found one for cheap. Realistically, if you're casting Avacyn, you've probably won, but she's insurance at her worst. The other 8 CMC creature of the deck is the most fun to resolve in my opinion, Maelstrom Wanderer. The best haste enabler in the deck, and coming with 3 extra cards because of Jodah is insane, and he's almost guaranteed to make you storm off and win the game on the turn that he's cast. Tristan, what if I cast Skrelv or Yoshimaru while Jodah is out? Rograk, Son of Roga is a hilarious pull. He has 3 keywords, triggers our card draw engines, nets us mana with Birgi, still don't know. He is one of the best blockers in the deck and is a super potent attacker that can attack the turn Jodah comes down and put on super early pressure. Phase 3. Easy win. To reiterate, we are probably winning by combat damage or commander damage with Sun Quan, Doric, Nylea, or Surak and Goreclaw. Keen-eyed viewers also probably notice that we have Najeela and Derevi, which make for infinite combat steps, but usually activating Najeela once or twice is enough to do it. To actually get there, we will probably need to storm off though. Remember when I said Rona was important? Now's the time! With an Azeka effect out, Rona can tap for mana. We tap Rona for mana and cast a legend. Jodah and Rona trigger, Rona untaps, then we tap her for mana. Jodah's trigger resolves, and we cast another legendary spell, which lets us untap Rona again. Pair this with a haste enabler and something to draw cards, and it's likely you'll be able to cast your entire deck and turn most of it sideways to kill your opponents in one very long storm turn. My warning to you if you build this deck is that Farewell and whatever the new one is, Showdown or whatever, Final Showdown, that's what it's called, absolutely destroy this deck. It has a lot of pieces, but it doesn't do well into like stacks and control decks, but it is insanely fun, and my favorite commander deck ever, so I highly recommend you build it, or proxy it since the mana based will cost you an arm and a leg. Phase 4. Outro. I'm a short form content creator, so this video was insanely long and taxing to make. It is very late. If you like Magic or fighting games, then check out my shorts. Please like, comment, and subscribe, help a homie out, and have a wonderful rest of your day. I'm gonna go to sleep now.